Well, that's precisely what we're talking about. INEC has released a summary of the voter registration exercise, pretty detailed one, and also with pictures to vote. Well, we have with us this morning Madam Ene Obi, who is the convener of the Situation Room and also the country director of Action Aid. Ma'am, you're welcome to Sunrise Elite this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Well,
good morning, Nigerians.
Good morning. Well, part of the headlines which we saw this morning while reviewing the papers was this CVR extension. INEC turns down 70 CESO's request, says we can no longer extend voter registration. I do not know if your CSO was a part of this coalition asking for an extension, but this is what INEC is saying. How are you seeing this response?
We have made a request. We have asked the INEC chairman to discuss with the team and extend the voter registration, the continuous voter registration. Mm-hmm. There are a number of reasons why we are asking for this. The fact that, there was a spike after the primaries. I think the primaries told Nigerians a lot of things, that the politicians are not really having, a lot of them don't have your intentions at heart. The quest for power is so deep. And now that, there is beginning to be a lot of work on the electronic, the outcome of the Electoral Act 2022, is a plus because of the electronic systems. The beavers, the machine that is being used now, the card reader, when we had the card reader, there was a lot of ways that they discarded it because they said it was illegal and so on and so forth. And now we have the electronic system that is now legal. So people are beginning to believe that the votes will count. Mm-hmm. We are coming from, off-cycle elections. But even before that, the primaries showed Nigerians that unless they stand up, we cannot deepen democracy. Mm-hmm. Our future is indeed in their need that active citizenship is very, very important and that your votes will count. If you realize that your votes will count, you go and vote.
Some people
before now, they were not believing it.
That's one way of looking at it. But I mean, if we're to go by what we have seen with all manner of registrations which government carries out, not just INEC now, is it with NIN? Is it when we begin to hear of the deadline drawing closer, that we begin to see people realizing that, oh my God, there's no more time, and then they begin to rush out to vote.
I think...
or to get registered or to do whatever.
Much as I want to listen to that, much as I want to say, yes, maybe there was a some time that Nigerians were not serious. There was, delays for people going to, taking it not quite easy. Mm-hmm. But I think you and I know that spike made people to the point that people will go to the national, the Tafawa Balewa Square, where you have everywhere that is filled up. INEC tried to respond by deploying more machines into the area. And so many other people. There are so many young Nigerians who don't believe in the nation anymore because of the issues of unemployment, because of the issues of, the school issue. ASU has been on strike. Who is talking to them? Mm-hmm. We are not addressing the youth, which is the engine room for Nigeria, for development in Nigeria. And so our outcry is that the interest has been generated. Because even at that time that the CVR was on, how much of education, public education was carried on to tell people that this was going on. At the heat of it, a lot of civil society organizations tried to make noise. What was the response from National Orientation Agency? Because National Orientation Agency is not as funded as INEC. Nobody is giving that way direction because they are the ones that are doing civic education. It's a crop of political scientists who are in all of the local government areas. But are they funded to do the job? What is the content of the civic education that went on throughout the times that we have been going to, even at the off-cycle election? The off-cycle election, they are giving positive registration, numbers. Now it's coming out of Anambra State. When we went for Anambra election, we know what happened there. How many people really voted in Anambra State? If you're now moving from Anambra, we came to FCT. Even the CVR, the beavers failed woefully in many places because of the either deployment or issues that were critical. And when we went to INEC, we tried to address it. We moved from there and went to Ekiti. Ekiti, politicians decided to be bribing people because they now know that you have to talk to people. The power has gone to the people. You know, you have to talk to people to convince them before they go and cast their vote.
Yeah, but
if
in
not
terms of
now,
the turnout, we
also moved to Osun State.
Yes.
Osun had more, and Beavers worked, you know, almost perfectly. What that is meaning also is telling Nigerians, look, your vote is going to count. So go and get yourself registered. And I think we need to mobilize more. The Electoral Act gives them time to continue registration until 90 days to the time. But we are not asking them to even reach that 90 days, but extend it for the next 2. If people are activated, more or less, people are enthused. I know how a lot of people struggled to the very last minute and they were not able to register.
Let's take a look at
the queues are there, much as you can. They can also, a lot of people want to volunteer. If INEC is looking for workers, people can volunteer, and I know that many people also try to help, you know, in the registration process.
Let's look at the figures as released by INEC. The first, excuse me, the first slide there showing the weekly update online voter registration, and I think that first one was as at 7 a.m. on Monday, the 1st of August, showing that pre-registration statistics by states. Fresh registrants only showed about 10,487,972 people. There was a breakdown done by states. I think Lagos had a pretty high figure of 639,882. We also see, I think you'll be there, or Kebbi, with the lowest number of people who are registered with 80,733. There, that's the slide showing on there for our viewers. We also have the weekly update, online voter registration, showing age group, occupational, gender, and PWD statistics. There's a distribution by age group there. Youths forming the highest number of people, 18,196,782. That's youths, people between the ages of 18 to 34, according to INEC here. It is very important to clarify. Yeah, we also see middle-aged people, 35 to 49, 8,630,903. Elderly people between the ages of 50 to 69, 3,795,765. And old, classified as 70 and above, 474,563. They also do a distribution by occupation. Maybe to give a clearer picture, they have artisans, businessmen, civil servants, trading, housewife, farming, fishing, public servant, students, others not specified. I think though they have the largest chunk at 7,608,877. But it shows that these number of people try to register online, 31 million of them, 98,013 people participated in the online voter registration. But I think the disparity now is when you look at the total number of people who were able to complete their registration. And I think this is what is disturbing for a number of people, that 31 million plus did the registration online. But at the end of the day, only 12,298,944 people were able to successfully complete their registration. They first of all showed a breakdown by state. So by states, you can see where each state falls into there. I think they ought to have released the codes as to what the color coding was about. But I've been trying to see if I can see a trend across the color code. Maybe it's across what they call that now, geopolitical zones. So for the different geopolitical zones, you can see the color coding there: northeast, northwest, north central, southwest, southeast, and south-south. And then if you look at the breakdown by age group and also by occupation, you also see there youths also constitute the highest number at 8,784,677. So total number of those who are able to complete their registration is at 12,298,944. We just got news this morning that SERAP, Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, say they will be suing INEC for completing or for closing registration and depriving the difference between the people who started registration online and the people who were able to complete their registration. I think there's a difference of about 11 million people there. They say for closing the portal in such a way that those remaining 11 million people are unable to successfully complete their registration. Do you think that is stretching it too far?
It's not a matter of stretching it too far. I think their cry is a cry of the civil society as well, that you are looking at your 11 million citizens. Can you then tell us how? How did they not get to register? Were they not able to? Will you not be concerned on why or how they have not been able to register, to complete their registration? I think that's a source of concern for us.
I'm concerned, but I mean, that's one also who also tried to complete I started the registration online. I mean, I was already registered previously. I wanted to be able to move my polling unit, etc. Yes. And I was told, oh, you could do it online, start online. So I went online and I started the process. I was able to successfully get to some conclusion where some numbers were generated, and all I had to do was take it to a polling center or a registration center to complete the process. But I just couldn't find the time. Would that be
INEC's see what fault? You're talking about? It is not because you couldn't find the time. You know that if you go, you can't stay on the queue because the queue is so long. If you knew that if you get to the registration point, you can easily do it. You will not just stay away from it. You go and complete it. But what we are raising up here is that there were so many of them that have finished their online registration and they were on the queue and they were not able to register. This is a cry from all over the country. The situation room tried to mop up, there were a lot of people into the night of Saturday, into the night of Sunday. People were on the queue and everything closed. And we are not saying that it's not overwhelming that we are having a huge population, but we all need to think back. INEC itself needs to see how much of voter education was carried out.
But if you look
into the people,
if you look at what
will 2 months, what will it do to hurt people?
If you look at just how much effort INEC has also put into this to, increase the credibility of the process, which is extremely important and which is what actually boosts the confidence of the voting population.
Exactly.
And even the current process that they're using, before now, I think it was shut down and they said they have to clean the register, they have to apply a fix, etc., etc.
They said that.
Yes. Are we being too demanding, knowing the technological demands that could also be making of INEC members of staff and perhaps the resources that they have at their control?
You see, resources out of their control, we wouldn't know how much resources they have. According to the Electoral Act, 1 year to the election, all the money should have been given to INEC. But we don't know what they have now, so they won't declare that to civil society. But we are saying if that is a constraint, then let the government give them all the money that they need.
Is it just about money, but also about...
That's one. The other side of it is, yes, we acknowledge INEC. We appreciated, the way Osun election went, the Ekiti election went, Beavers is now working, the interaction with the civil society, with the political parties, with the security agencies, they are really interacting, and we commend them for that. They are making progress. That's why Nigerians are now believing in the system. And so if there is a turnaround now, it means we need to re-energize the system to respond to the needs of the people, to deepen democracy. I think is a good thing if people are interested in what they're doing. And the Electoral Act is very clear that registration, going into 90 days, you can stop it 90 days to the time. But we do understand what they're saying. They want to clean up. They want to put the voter registration, the list out so that people can identify their names and also the repopulation of the polling units. But this is a quest and this is legal for us to ask and say, you need to continue the registration because if you are closing the door on so many people, one of the rules that INEC has maintained, which has been very good, is that if you get to the polling unit before 2 p.m., all of you on that queue, you will vote. Some people have voted until about 2 a.m. They voted and their votes counted. But now we are having the door closed on people while we know that they can register. And so if you are disenfranchising, we are not even talking of those who are still outside now, but about 11 million people not being able to complete their registration. I have people who complain that I have done my registration, but the queue. Do you know anybody? I am telling you that a lot of people who got the last registration is because they knew someone who knew someone in INEC and so on and so forth. And that's not the way we want them to. We are encouraging them. As we are making our demand, we are not forcing them, but we are encouraging and we are asking before INEC chairman, even this morning through your medium, that we need this to be reopened. You remember that, before Osun Ekiti election, 60 days to the time, their own was closed.
Okay.
CVR was not there. 60 days to the time of Osun as well, nobody could register again. And now, when you open the system, it means you allow all those who have been left behind.
Indeed.
I think it's to encourage Nigerians that we're telling them to reopen the portal.
Okay. Let's take this conversation now to my colleagues in Lagos. Ladies and gentlemen.
Well, quite an interesting conversation, really, especially for those who have been waiting on queues, going online, and just trying to ensure they get their PVCs. And now, it has closed. Questions about whether or not it will be postponed and all of that. In fact, questions about whether people have to go through that whole process to be able to perform, their right as, a citizen of Nigeria, have to cross that barrier. When naturally, if you're born Nigerian, you should be able to do all of that. But I'd like us to talk about even another important conversation, which is election management itself, because it's not enough for you to register. There is an organization, INEC, that will manage that election, and then we have questions about the recs that have been nominated, the recs that are going out. Just how competent are the new recs? Are there concerns about changing the team just a few months to the tournament itself, when we've had a team that has done some work? How competent are the new players coming in? I'm talking about the recs appointed and all of that. For the civil society, do you have those concerns as well?
Yes, we have concerns. We have our concerns because we're looking at names coming up, names that have not been heard in the electoral, processes before. We're having new names that are coming. We were quite worried about this, and we mentioned it, we reacted to it a couple of months ago, that 2023 is just way down, is just, around the corner. And we are now having new people that we have to do orientation from. That worries us. Another one is how independent are those new, nominees, and that's why we are urging the parliament to look at them, scrutinize them very well, and see where they are coming from, whether they, they are the issues of partisan politics, where we are, whether they are independent enough to be able to deliver. Are they competent enough to be able to deliver? The responsibility of a rec is a huge responsibility. And so for us, we worry about them because we don't know, many of them we don't know. And all we hear is that some of them, yes, they were nominated, relations of people, and people have to be related to people. But how detached are they for the politicians? Because if you are with a political party or you are attached to a politician, it means you will do the bid of the politician when you get there. So we are worried about the competence, but we'll be watching them. And we are going to monitor the elections across the country, whoever is getting there. We'll also be watching the parliament as they clear them. We'll be watching them, whether the body language of whatever, and we are going to also be tracking those who are going in as recs. So we encourage them to try and stay firm and do something for Nigeria. Those who are in the parliament today, some of them are there now, they may not be there tomorrow. So do the right thing, stand upright for Nigeria, and tell the truth, and stand for the truth before it is too late for you. Because once you exit the stage, you are out.
Mrs. Obi, their competence may not
do nothing anymore.
Mrs. Obi, their competence may not be in doubt, but you talk about independence. Let's take a look at a few names. Mrs. Pauline Onyeka led the state's Independent Electoral Commission in Imo State. Professor Salam Ayobami was a lecturer in a federal-owned university, and Ambassador Abdul Samadu had some engagement with the Kaduna state government, even though he's a country representative of the United Nations. If you doubt the independence of these individuals, just to mention a few of them, how far would you be taking your engagement with Parliament to ensure that the independence of these individuals can be ascertained so that the integrity of the elections will be guaranteed?
I think each of them, they have their resume, so let their resume be very clear to the members who are going to scrutinize them. That's what we're saying. Let them open their eyes to what they are bringing on board. A number of them, you find there are about 17 or so of them. So you cannot depend on the 3 people that have been nominated, But what we are watching for, we are not condemning who has submitted a list, but we are saying let them be people who will be non-partisan to deliver, their responsibilities. Yeah, because it's not a child's play. If you cannot disengage yourself from what is happening, a lot is going to happen.
But can you be non-partisan if, for instance, you're nominated by the governor or you're a relative of, excuse me, a high-ranking political party member? Would you expect partisanship from such persons?
My fellow compatriot, that's the point that we are bringing on board. If you are nominated by the governor, and normally, the REC, they don't post you to the states where you come from. Most of the time, they don't post you to the states where you come from. So you can be nominated by a governor and they post you to somewhere else. If you have the competence, go ahead. But if you become partisan, we will also know by your own actions and by the things that you do. Because most of the time, it's the governors, they ask for the states to put their nominations, and so they are nominating. We do agree that governors can talk to governors. But we are asking, and to deepen democracy requires active citizenship. It requires the activities of all of us, and not just those who are on the seat, but those who are, the citizens themselves, who are going to be the voters at this time. And so we are asking the system, if the system is working, it's very, very tough for anybody to bend it. But we are calling on people to try to stand up right for Nigeria, for us to be able to deepen the democratic values, the processes that will go through the values, to make it easier for Nigerians to be able to deliver, and to make it easier for INEC too, because you have the national commissioners for INEC, and then you have the REC. If their allegiance is not to Nigeria and to individuals, how do they deliver? And that will show. One of the things is that it will show. For all the security agencies, if you are not delivering, it will also show. Everybody is writing their own, you are writing your history by your actions, because what you do today will account for you tomorrow. And so all of that is taken into consideration, and I hope that people are, people are listening, people are also rededicating themselves to Nigeria. You say, I pledge to Nigeria, my country, and all of them are going to take this pledge, to be faithful, loyal, and honest. How many of us are checking ourselves there? How many of the politicians are living the life of Nigerians, or patriotic Nigerians? You say, arise, O compatriot. It's each and every one of us, whether you are on one side or the other side, whether you are occupying any position. I'm a civil society person. And where I'm occupying, I'm using it to work and stand upright for Nigeria. And we are demanding that out of everybody. Wherever you are, contribute your own quota. If not, the chapter will close, and you get out of the world as well, too.
Well, it's certainly food for thought this morning. To whom does your allegiance lie? We thank you so much for your time and the work that you do. NAOB is the convener of the Situation Room and also country director of Action Aid. Well, that's where we'll have to leave the conversation this morning. I'm trying to see if we have any comments. Guys, do you want to tell us about your experience in getting registered for these? Oh, yes, I'm seeing one there, even though I can't see it here with me, but look at it. CSO on voter registration says the civil society organizations should cut INEC some slack, please. Their vociferous demands on INEC continuing with voter registration is tending towards destabilization. We have over 96.2 million registered voters already. That's the size of some 5 countries in Europe. And how many people get to vote in any past elections anyways? There's always some other time, please. Circumspection. This is from Abiodun Akinjayeju.
Is he willing to wait?
Well, that's a meal. We thank you so much for your time. Any more? Do we still have time for more?
Absolutely. Got a lot of them. Take a look at this one from Law Alpha Cross. By the way, questions and reactions to that one from Abiodun. But Law Alpha Cross says, INEC should take into cognizance the spirit and enthusiasm expressed by Nigerians to be part of the electoral process by extending the CVR exercise. There's still plenty of time to do the extension ahead of next year's general election. So different strokes for different folks.
Speaking of which, for Festus Sakimboyewa, insecurity is at the heart of the matter. And he says, every day we're heartbroken by the news of another killing of innocent Nigerians by terrorists. And I don't think Nigerians believe there's progress. We want our president to do everything in his power to keep these tragedies from happening in our country, period.
Or Victor says, man to man is so unjust. If citizens see and speak and the information given to security apparatus gets back to the terrorists, putting their lives at risk, would they want to speak up? These are serious issues, he says.
And lastly, this one from Dr. Ekpemosa says, there are too many ungoverned spaces within and around Nigeria. These spaces have been left to fallow for so long that alternative governance structures emerged and now pose resistance to legitimate governments. What to do about that? Well, thank you so much for sending in your comments this morning and your contributions as well.
Perhaps we should govern that little space around us well, at work, at homes, wherever we find ourselves. Let's ensure we do the right things. I'm Kayode Okikelu.
Yeah, let's be vigilant, especially in these difficult times. Thank you for watching. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo.
And I am Chamberlain, so goodbye.